sure you guys can see this. Put your name and your class code, like if I'm in 6B, I would put 6B. Right in the center, remember we never want to put it right at the edge or write it really small because that's where we're going to be putting tape or gluing. So we want to make sure that we can see the name very visibly when it comes off the drying rack so we can sort it very quickly into the correct class and then move on to be able to create other things. So now that I've got a name on it, the next thing I'm going to do is to use a smaller brush that's soft to create, I'm going to create a pattern. For the last one I used purple and blue, so I'm going to use, I again want to use analogous colors that are beside each other on the color wheel. Analogous colors are like 3 colors that are beside each other or 4 colors that are beside each other that are part of the same color group. That way, if the color blends into the next color, it'll still look interesting and not give us a color that maybe is abrasive looking. So we're going to back out. We want it to be what we call aesthetically pleasing. That means it's pretty. It's a fancy way of saying it looks good on there together. Okay, so I'm going to make sure you can see my color palette. I've got 4 colors here that are analogous to each other, these 4, and they're also warm. This one looks purple up there, but it's more of a pink. So I can usually get away with it when I paint with it. And what I'm going to do is wiggle around in one of the colors and create a pattern. And for this one, I'm just going to use the tip, and I'm going to create kind of a zigzagging organic pattern. I'm going to wash my brush off every time I switch to the next color, because if I don't, I'm going to have a problem. I'm going to start mixing up those colors on my color palette. Again, I wash off my brush again, and you can see that somebody has mixed up a color into the yellow. So what I'm going to do is get a bigger brush, drain it off a little bit, and wiggle around on it with some water. Keep kind of washing it off and draining it off, and do that until I get my color back. You need to do that at the end of every class or at the beginning of every class so that you're not accidentally getting colors in there that you don't want. Because if my brush rubs up against that blue, it's going to drag a green kind of a look into that, and we don't want that in our orange. So now that that's clean, I can use that yellow to go in, and I'm just kind of going right back on top of what I've already done, and I'm washing my brush off. I'm going to go to that pink now. And I'm going to continue to do this throughout the piece until I get the pattern I want. So I'm going to fill up and use the edges.